the sod up. A search of the garden shed yielded only a small pruning saw, which proved to be useless in getting the briefcase off the arm. It tore the skin, but the bone he had to stamp on to break. The saw, lead pipe, and blood-stained gloves had ended up in the River Thames as he made his way back across the Lambeth Bridge to Pimlico. Only when he got back did he realise the bloodied instruments, hidden inside his raincoat, had left stains on the lining. Now, folded on the back of his chair, those marks were hidden. Bettina pottered out of her bedroom, frowning at the still-lit cooker. Ever the tidy one, she lifted the coat to hang it in the hall, eyes wide with hurt when he snapped at her to leave it alone. Having examined the scratches on his face, she cast her eyes over the objects on the kitchen table. By size and shape, they were unmistakable. Bettina rubbed her hands nervously down her sides and shook her head, her fleshy jowls quivering. To her clandestine lodger, the reaction was typical. How different people were when they ceased to babble about doing something for the cause and were actually required to act. He'd seen it too many times to be surprised when they turned out to have lily livers. The cause had been an excuse. Billy was on the run, needed money, and robbery had looked like a way to get some. Bettina, who cleaned houses to make ends meet, had let slip one of her regulars was something in the military. More importantly, he kept a large amount of cash in a bureau in his spare room, all this really a boast to say how much she was trusted. He'll have missed them by now. Billy patted the topmost map, his tone confident. He will, Bettina. I hope it's worth it. Course it is, lassie. You struck a blow. I should never have given you the key. He's bound to know it was me. He looked up at her, seeking to convey reassurance. Her hands were clasped under a substantial bosom, which matched her pudgy body. The broad, pink-cheeked face under a knotted turban was creased and unhappy, making her look even less attractive than usual, and that was pretty unappealing to begin with. No wonder she'd stayed a widow. He will not, Bettina, as I've made it look like a proper break-in, so he'll reckon it's a burglary. He can turn up on Friday looking innocent and shocked. Now what about a cup of tea and a wee bit of toast? Someone might have seen me in the phone box. Who's going to see you in the blackout? And even if they did, the chances of that being a body to recognise you is slim. He smiled at her, and said in his most seductive tone, Come on, make us some breakfast, hen. Bettina's task, her aid to the cause, had been to occupy the phone box at the corner of the street and alert Billy with 2 rings on the house phone if her employer showed up. He never got the warning. Had the old cow even stayed there as lookout? He could ask her, but he doubted if she would admit she had panicked and fled, which she must have done to get back to the flat ahead of him and in time to be in bed. Upstairs, rifling and pocketing the contents of a carved wooden box, Billy had heard the rasping of the owner's key. His only possible exit was blocked. He'd have to fight his way out, so a bloody resolution was the inevitable outcome. As Bettina began to fill the kettle, it was clear he must decide what to do next. The sharp crack of the letterbox, followed by the slapping sound of the morning newspaper hitting the lino, made Billy jump. He rose to fetch it, leaving Bettina to slice the bread with her worn, bone-handled knife. Unfolding the paper, his heart lifted at a headline. He ran his eyes over the article, which delayed him too long. When he came back to the kitchen, Bettina was at the table, standing over a map, face up and fully open. His raincoat had been turned inside out, the lining now on show. Her eyes flicked towards the coat, before she looked directly at him. Billy, what have you done? What was necessary for the cause, he replied, the red mist beginning to descend. That's what I've done. Gently he